Well, today's the day. Kalen DeBoer gets his team on the field for Alabama's first football practice of the fall, getting ready to open up against Western Kentucky. It's so exciting. We're going to bring on our buddy Clint Lamb to talk about that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Big Sexy Elmo is going to be on as well, so don't fret there. Let's get this party started with a big roll tide. Well, it's like Christmas. It's like Christmas. We got football again. There's Clint Lamb from On 3. And, of course, I'm Mick Gillispie. Great to have all you guys here on the channel today. Big Elmo will be on later. But, dude, it's football time.
Man, I got to be honest, Mick. I feel like the offseason in many ways was super slow, but in other ways it felt like it's flown by. Like I feel like I was sitting watching Alabama in the Rose Bowl, 2 weeks ago and thinking to myself, if they don't win this game, it's over. It's over for months. And here we are gearing up for another football season. Going to look a lot different under Kalen DeBoer than it was under Nick Saban, but I'm excited about it. I want to see how things are different, how they're the same, and just the philosophy, the culture, everything. How does Kalen DeBoer manage taking over for Nick Saban? I think it's going to be a lot of fun for me to cover and for you to cover, but I also think it's going to be a lot of fun for fans. So I'm certainly ready to get started, brother.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be such a different look. Obviously, the tone around Alabama is just much different from Kalen DeBoer and Nick Saban. Kalen DeBoer's tried to do a good job of taking what Nick Saban did that worked kind of under his vision and keep it. But then also, there's just a much more relaxed feel coming from the media side. It's a 100 and what do they call 180? It's a total different direction at Alabama.
Yeah, it really is. And, I understand where Nick Saban was coming from with a lot of it. Do I think the paranoia was a bit extreme at times? I do, but it's hard to argue against his success. So, however, it's like the person that lives to be, 100 and people ask him, hey, what'd you do to help you? And they're like, I drink 12 Dr. Peppers every day. And it's like, I doubt that's what got you there. It's like, hey, you're there. I'm not there. I've seen a lot of people not make it there. So maybe, who am I to question your methods? Obviously it's worked for you. So it's kind of the same thing with Nick Saban. And, there are enough guys returning, enough talent returning where you feel good about the state of the roster. I think they've done a good job recruiting. They brought in some transfer portal guys. Are there question marks? Absolutely. But I think this is because it's got a chance to be a playoff caliber team and maybe potentially more. It just depends on how it all comes together.
What are you looking forward to the most with this football team taking the field and this Kalen DeBoer era? I really feel like today's the official start.
There's so many things. And so trying to pick what, I'm most looking forward to would be rather difficult. But some of the things I'm looking forward to is the development of Jalen Milroe. We know he's got the raw ability, but we also know there were some deficiencies last year, pre-snap, post-snap, knowing where to go with the football, knowing where to make checks and getting guys lined up correctly. What all could he do pre-snap? And so as he's continuing to grow in some of those areas, how does that help his game? How does Kalen DeBoer scheme things up? I think, you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts, even as much as we saw him grow during his time at Alabama, I think getting with Lincoln Riley and getting in a system that really did some things to help him, it took his game from being just a really good quarterback to an elite quarterback at Oklahoma, which is what helped vault him into being the conversation to being a potential day one pick, fell to the second round. But obviously we've seen his success in the NFL as well. And so, what does Kalen DeBoer do with Jalen Milroe, and how does he help, any sort of deficiencies that he might have? What does DeBoer do to kind of mask that and help him and aid him? And, so I think that's going to be pretty important. I think it's going to be important to see, how the run game complements that. Everybody knows that DeBoer's been a little bit pass happy in the past. But you've got two really good running backs. We think they got three with Richard Young, but we know they at least have two really good running backs. How do they build a ground game around those guys? Does Justice Haynes have a breakout? What does the offensive line look like? What is the right tackle position? I mean, and that's just on the offensive side of the football. When you're talking about Kane Womack and what he's going to be doing defensively, the Wolf, how often is it playing off the ball? How often, is he lining up on the line of scrimmage? What is the Husky position look like? Is it physical and able to hold up? Depth is another major question mark. So you really want to see some of these younger guys coming along and hearing some buzz where you start feeling good about second, third team guys. So there's a lot to look forward to and a lot for us to talk about over the next several weeks.
I don't think we have a quarterback battle. I mean, it feels like this is Jalen Milroe's team and Ty Simpson is the backup, which I think's good. I mean, compared to where we were last year, right? But there's people that are going to say, hey, I mean, is there any chance that Ty Simpson could push for that job? Or do you think that's even in the realm of possibility?
I think the assumption has to be that it's Jalen Milroe's show. I think Ty Simpson is a good enough player. He's developed enough where if he continues to get better and for whatever reason Jalen Milroe doesn't, then Jalen Milroe needs to be looking over his shoulder because that gap is closing every day. I expect both players to continue to get better and get more comfortable in Kalen DeBoer's system. And it's kind of the, competition breeds excellence. I think it's that philosophy. And that's the good part about it. I mean, I will say, and I'm not trying to take a shot at Auburn, but when Bo Nix was a freshman and he was struggling, nobody was there to push him. Like it was his show. And even though he might not have been ready, you knew Auburn had zero quarterback depth where you felt comfortable with any of those guys. And I think that hurt Bo Nix early in his development because if he had a guy who was forcing him to get better, he could go out there and throw 2 interceptions. It didn't matter. He's like, no one behind me is threatening me. I'm going to be the guy. Grant Loy, I think, was playing behind him at the time. I mean, there was no threat. And I could be thinking of his sophomore year, not his freshman year. But the point is that at one point within those first couple of years, he had nobody pushing him. And I think that hurt his development a little bit. He turned out to be a great first-round pick. Awesome. But, a guy like Jalen Milroe, he found a lot of drive internally based off of what people said about him last year. And, I think that while some of those things have kind of calmed down a little bit, I think there's still enough criticism out there about him where he's going to find some motivation from that. But it's a matter of, I think the guys behind him are going to push him a lot more. And that's ultimately going to help him become a better player. And he's got a staff that believes in him. And I think that's really, really critical as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the other thing too is it's a much different world now as a college athlete, especially a high profile college athlete like Milroe. I mean, I met him at the mullet toss with Jay Coker and Ryan Anderson. We hung out. I see him on, he's on TV all the time now, different shows. He's doing different events. He's out helping Alabama fundraise, which is, totally different than the way that things used to be. And now he's got to focus on football. I mean, this feels like a full-time job and not just like a college guy playing a position on a football team.
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly what it is. And, just how he carries himself and handles himself in the media, when he's doing appearances and, how he handles himself any chance that we get to see him. I mean, just a very impressive guy. And, really, I don't think anybody questions the character. I don't think anybody questions the want to. And he's got tremendous physical ability. So it's just a matter of getting more comfortable doing what he's being asked to do. And I think that having somebody like a Kalen DeBoer and the rest of that offensive staff help bringing him along on that front, this is where you see the kind of growth to vault guys into being high NFL draft picks. And I'm not going to go there quite yet with Milroe. I got to see some of the development. But I mean, just getting in the right offensive system for, we just talked about Jalen Hurts. For him, it made a world of difference, even though I think you saw growth at Alabama. Just that offensive system and getting a guy who understands the position and how to improve deficiencies. Like, as much as we like to criticize Lincoln Riley, he's pretty darn good at that. Kalen DeBoer is pretty good at it too. And so I think from what he is able to do on any given Saturday, I think you're going to see him playing at a completely different level than we've seen up to this point. And that bodes really well for Alabama because they do have some deficiencies in some places right now where, he'll probably need to compensate for some of that early on.
Well, he should get the snap cleanly this year with
Makes
one
a
of the
difference.
best centers in the country, and the offensive line in general is picked to be one of the best in college football. That's where Alabama's strength is, according to all the experts.
Well, I mean, from a continuity standpoint, you return 3 very important starters. You return 1 tackle in Caden Proctor. Former 5-star talent, looks to be in excellent shape. A lot of these Alabama guys do compared to last year where maybe they all got a little bit too big. But you got the leadership and the experience factor with, Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts. To me, one of, if not the best, guard duos in the entire country. But then you throw in a high caliber center like Parker Brailsford. I mean, that's 4 of your 5 spots, and they all look to be in excellent shape. They've reshaped their bodies. I think that's going to be important. I don't think that they're just a perfect fit. All of them are a perfect fit for Kalen DeBoer's offense, but they certainly are enough. They've got the athleticism. They've got the ability to kind of be road graders and things like that, even though they lose weight. I actually think from that standpoint, they'll be better playing at a lighter weight. But the only question there is at right tackle. And I think they got a couple of really good options in Wilkin Formby and Elijah Pritchett, assuming that Pritchett kicks over to that side. And if that ends up being the case and they can get that 5th spot solidified, it's absolutely going to make a world of difference. And, something else is that Kalen DeBoer's system kind of protects your offensive line. It does some things as far as taking advantage of motion and getting the football out of the quarterback's hands and really getting a defense playing on its heels, playing sideline to sideline where they can't really penetrate as much. And so from that standpoint, I think that's going to be beneficial and helpful. So you combine that with what they have from a talent standpoint, the returning experience. I wouldn't say it's a extremely experienced group, but 4 of your 5 starters have seen quite a bit of football. I think that's going to bode well for Alabama, not just for the offensive line, but for the offense in general and for the team in general.
Yeah, we'll talk defense tomorrow, but final thing on the offense is the wide receivers. And I guess with one of your best transferring, or at least who you would expect to be one of your best transferring to Texas, Alabama did get one of the better receivers from Washington to transfer in. What do you think about this group, and who would you say at this point right now who are the players to watch?
Obviously, Jeremy Bernard is going to be the guy that everybody talks about, and rightfully so. I still think there's some untapped potential there. We saw, some flashes, some really, really good flashes at Washington. And I think he filled in really well when there were some injuries to their top 3 guys. But I think, beyond that, he's got some ability to win at all 3 levels. I think he's got some physicality to his game. He's built well. And he's kind of got that dog mentality that you look for and want at the position. And I think his familiarity with the standard of Jamarcus Shepard and of Kalen DeBoer, I think that's going to help him. Obviously, Kendrick Law has been generating some buzz this offseason. He's got the top end speed. He's got the ability to be very versatile in how you use him. He's extremely strong, extremely physical. And so, what do they do with that piece? And can he become a volume guy? I don't think we've seen enough from him up to this point, whether it be in high school or on the college level, where he's proven he could be a volume type of player. Can he become that guy for Alabama, or is he more gadget and just a guy who can kind of provide for others, which is still very important, but a guy who originally, just due to his youth, that I don't think I was focusing on enough for the early season side of things, was Ryan Williams. Just being an extremely talented player. He's supposed to be a senior right now, or going into his senior year, and now he's playing in the SEC. And so you think, okay, at some point his talent's going to emerge, but how quickly does that happen?
Wow.
I think as we've heard more about him, I think we're starting to figure out that, he's a guy who can end up making an impact a lot sooner rather than later. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if he had a role in week 1. And if that role didn't continue to grow early throughout the season, and then him eventually become one of the stars of this offense by the end of the year.
I love to hear that. Hollywood, man. Let's go. Hollywood Williams. That's exciting stuff. And then also all the great things he's done to help Alabama recruit. He's been just a dream recruit and now Alabama player. Clint and I will be back tomorrow, but after this, we're going to see Big Sexy Elmo. He's going to tell us what's going on today right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Roll Tide.
River Resort.
I want to remind you guys that the show is brought to you by our friends at Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Now's a great time to go make your picks count, man. You feel like you can go over there and throw a little cash down. I call it pizza money on games. Well, you can do it legally. It's a Vegas-style sports book right there in Philadelphia, Mississippi, an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham. That includes Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, which is the Augusta you can play. And right now, if you put $50 down on the sports book without a membership, $40, you can go play Dancing Rabbit. They've got Geyser Falls, which is their really amazing water park. They've got the spa, and they've got table games and slots. All of it's a great weekend resort, maybe just during the week. You got some time off and you want to go hang out. Check out Pearl River Resort. We appreciate them for their partnership here. And also, Big Sexy Elmo. Yeah, he's coming up. So let's bring him on.
They call him Big Sexy. Coming at you from the Walker County. Jasper is his hometown. He's known for giving free rundowns. Oh, Big Sexy. Throwing out those Alabama thoughts. Sneaking out your mom's window without getting caught. Nick gives you the XPs, but Big Elmo is here to please. Big Sexy Elmo on the Bama Tailgate Show.
Welcome in. It is the 31st day of July, Mixter. You know what that means?
It means that tomorrow's the 1st of August.
That is one case very observant, my friend. But it also means that the Tide is taking over the practice field today.
No, I can't even believe it, man.
God, can you believe that?
No.
Man, it's the first day of practice. I love that. So that will definitely top our calendar today. But if you're looking for birthdays today, not a whole lot of folks that I recognize on the birthday list. Oldie singer Gary Lewis of Gary Lewis and the Playboys, 78 today. Or excuse me, 79 today.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know.
You would remember his songs. You know, once I come on the radio, you'll be like, oh yeah, okay, Gary Lewis and Playboy. Okay. Let's see. Wesley Snipes is 62 today.
Willie Mays Hayes. You might run like Hayes, but you hit like beep. It's a shame that he didn't do the second or the third of the major league movies because he got so big. Remember, for a while, Wesley Snipes was one of the biggest names in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He got in trouble for like tax evasion, went to jail, and then really never made it back, you know?
Yeah. He celebrating a birthday today, as well as musician Fat Boy Slim. He's 61 today.
Fat Boy Slim.
You know,
I know the name, but I don't know any of his songs.
The Weapon of Choice. It was a let's see. It was a song that the music video had Christopher Walken in it, and it was great. You'll have to look it up. And a guy that I know, you know, singer Zach Brown is 46 today.
Yeah, he's one of these guys like him and Kenny Chesney. Like they're like the Jimmy Buffett country sing guys. You know, like we're gonna sing "Got My Toes in the Water, Feet in the Sand." You know, like we're gonna sing songs about the beach, and I'm all about that. So I like the guy, like his band. Good for him, man. Happy birthday.
Looking for something to celebrate today.
That song, Chicken Fry.
Yep. I remember when it first came out, it was his first hit. And
beer on a Friday night.
Yeah. The guy that was programming music for me at the station, he is like, come here and listen to this dumb stuff. Well, he did say stuff, but anyway. And I listened to it, and I was like, yeah, that song's going to be big. He said, are you crazy? And I said, add it. And sure enough, yeah, I said, look, you moron. And I said, he's country. He's singing about fried chicken, beer, you know, all the necessities to make
all
a
the
great
important stuff. All the important stuff.
I said it'll be a hit. Just go ahead and add him. And sure enough, like maybe a month and a half later, the Birmingham station started adding it. So I was like, told you so. Looking for something to celebrate today. Today is Mutts Day.
Like dog, like mutts.
Yep.
I've had people tell me like they only go with mutts. Like
That's the best. That's the best dogs I ever had was mutts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were mutts, and they were absolutely incredible dogs. I loved them. Had several of them growing up.
Yeah.
But of course, we couldn't afford a purebred. Of course, I know you've got.
Don't even. I knew you were going to do this. You're going to throw it on me for having a purebred dog, but my dog isn't purebred. It's a mixture of a poodle and a golden retriever.
Right, which is one of the most popular dog breeds right now going.
I saw you coming around the corner. I knew it. I was trying to change the subject. You know what I was thinking of was our friend Bull Corey being at his place over in Oakman and seeing these weird dog combos that would come down. He's like, "Oh yeah, that's the neighbor. We don't know which neighbor." It was like a douche hound, but it was like long, but it had like a lab's head.
What?
Like a hot dog, one of those hot dogs. What do they call them?
Dotson.
Dotson.
Yeah, not a douche hound. Oh my God.
and it was like white, it was like white and speckled, and then it was like long with little legs, and then but it had the head of a of a lab.
He had some weird dogs, and they're later
It wasn't really his dog though, because he had the blue tick. No, what were those things called? Those healers, blue healers, and red
blue healers. Yeah, he loved those. But he did have a couple of mutts that, and I don't even know what happened to the dogs after he passed away. There was one, and it's just like you described. It was the weirdest looking dog. It
the one.
It may be. It was a white dog, and it was long, and it had like really short legs.
Yeah, that's the one.
And he called him Forlow. and I was like, "Why you call him Forlow?" He said, "Think of it, Brad." He said, "Look at the legs." I said, "Oh yeah, Forlow." Well, anyway, one day we were sitting out behind his restaurant, and we both look up, and Forlow is on the roof of the restaurant. And I was like, "How did that dog get up there?" And he just looks at me, and he's like, "Oh, he gets up there all the time. I don't know." I'm thinking this little leg dog is on top of this big restaurant.
Yeah. Crazy.
Alongside with a metal chicken that was up there as well. But anyway, that's another story. Today is also National Get Gnarly Day.
Cool, dude. Let's get gnarly.
Yeah, let's get gnarly.
I get some waves when I hear that.
Right, yeah. The former surfer, Mick Gillispie. If this day in history, Jim Reeves, very popular classic, country singer at the time, in 1964, he passed away when a single-engine aircraft crashed near Nashville.
Oh, it sucks.
A very, very sad day in the country music world. Great song that was released this day, 1976. The Blue Oyster Cults, Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I still use that. When I see someone that looks sick, I'll sing that song, because you'll see the Reaper standing behind him.
Right. Don't fear the Reaper. I always think of more cowbell.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Let's see what else happened this day in history here. Not a whole lot. Today's a kind of a boring day. Oh, 1988. This is a great one to end on. The last Playboy Club closes in Lansing, Michigan.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah. Did they have a Playboy Club down in South Alabama?
Not that I have seen yet, but maybe it's here and I just don't know about it.
They didn't have one in Walker County. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Well, they got the booby trap. You know that.
Yeah. They couldn't compete. That international brand couldn't compete with what we have here. But that's a look at this day in history for this July 31st.
All right, roll tide, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.